Welcome to the Pardees channel. Today we explain Prophet Samuel 2, chapter 2 in a clear and simple way, step by step. We are picking up the story at a really pivotal, incredibly tense moment in biblical history. Think about it. We're looking at a newly divided kingdom, a massive power vacuum, and the tragic, bloody start of a civil war between brothers. The events that unfold in this specific chapter absolutely set the stage for years of conflict, demonstrating just how quickly political maneuvering can descend into absolute tragedy.
Here is our roadmap for Chapter 2. We'll start with the context after Saul, look at the rise of two rival kings, examine the deadly battle at Gibeon, follow the tragic fall of Asahel, and finally unpack the practical lessons and recap everything we've learned.
Okay, Part 1. Context after Saul's death. A nation divided.
So, we are at the very beginning of the second book of Samuel. King Saul and his son Jonathan have just tragically died in battle against the Philistines. David has finished his period of deep, intense mourning. But now, reality sets in. The nation is without a leader. There is this massive power vacuum. Now, what is truly remarkable here is how David responds to this immense pressure. He's got a private army. The man who was hunting him is dead. You'd kind of expect David to immediately march in and seize the throne by force, right? But he doesn't. David's very first move is to ask God for guidance. He literally just asks, "Shall I go up to one of the towns of Judah?" The Lord says, "Go up." Then David follows up with a highly specific question, "Where shall I go?" And the answer is, to Hebron. This brilliantly illustrates his humility. He refuses to take a single step without divine permission. Following these explicit instructions, David travels up to Hebron, and he brings everyone. The text specifically notes that he brings his two wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail. But he doesn't just bring his immediate family. David brings all his loyal men, every single man with his household, and they settle in the towns surrounding Hebron. Now, Hebron isn't just any city. It's a deeply significant, ancient city located right in the territory of Judah. By moving his men and their families here, David is establishing a permanent base of operations, entirely rooted in the tribe of his own family line. Once David settles his people in Hebron, the men of Judah actually come forward and formally anoint him as their king. This is a massive milestone. It's his first public, recognized coronation. But David doesn't just sit back and celebrate. He immediately looks outward. He hears that the men of Jabesh-Gilead were the ones who bravely rescued and buried King Saul's body. So what does he do? He sends messengers to them right away, saying, "Blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have shown this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him." He promises to show them kindness in return, and gently encourages them to be strong, subtly dropping the hint that the house of Judah has now anointed him as king. It's really a masterclass in diplomacy. He's showing profound honor to the previous king, while extending an open hand of unity to the rest of the nation.
Part 2. Two rival kings. Judah versus Israel.
However, that hand of unity David extended, it is definitely not taken. A deep geographical and political division emerges right down the center of the nation. To understand this, we need to meet two critical figures on the opposing side. The first is Abner. Abner is a seriously powerful guy. He is the captain of Saul's host, basically the supreme commander of the Israelite military. The second figure is Ish-bosheth, the 40-year-old surviving son of King Saul. Abner takes Ish-bosheth across the Jordan River to a city called Mahanaim, and there, far away from David, Abner unilaterally makes Ish-bosheth king over the rest of Israel. It becomes glaringly obvious from the text that Ish-bosheth is merely a figurehead here. Abner, the battle-hardened general, is the one truly pulling the strings.
So, we get this stark, incredibly telling contrast in the text between these two leadership structures. On one side, we have David, who ends up ruling the house of Judah from Hebron for a total of 7 years and 6 months. On the other side, we have Abner installing Ish-bosheth as king over Israel from Mahanaim. But here's the catch. The text makes a point to tell us that Ish-bosheth only reigns for 2 years. This timeline discrepancy totally highlights the instability of Ish-bosheth's rule compared to the enduring, growing strength of David's kingdom. The nation is completely fractured, and it's a ticking time bomb.
Part 3. The Battle at Gibeon. A Deadly Standoff. With two rival factions and two highly ambitious commanders, this political tension inevitably boils over into a direct physical confrontation. Both sides send out their armies into the field. Abner and the servants of Ish-bosheth march out, and at the exact same time, David's men, led by his commander, Joab, also march out.
The two forces meet face to face by the Pool of Gibeon. Picture this. It's an incredibly tense standoff. The two armies literally sit down, one on one side of the pool and the other on the opposite side, just staring each other down, waiting to see who is going to blink first. The heavy silence is finally broken by Abner, who makes a frankly startling proposal to Joab. Abner arrogantly suggests, "Let the young men, I pray thee, arise and play before us." Joab just agrees, saying, "Let them arise." Now, the word play here, that is the understatement of the century. This isn't a friendly game. It is deadly proxy combat. Abner is suggesting a contest of champions, 12 men from the tribe of Benjamin representing his side, stepping forward to fight 12 men representing David. It was likely intended as a way to settle the dispute without risking a full-scale war, but proposing a fight to the death as play tells you a lot about Abner's mindset. But, as you might guess, this contest does not resolve a single thing. It only brings horror. The text provides a chilling graphic description of what happens next. The 24 young men step forward, pair off, and engage in brutal close-quarters combat. Each man grabs his opponent by the head or by the hair and thrusts his sword directly into his opponent's side. Because they are so perfectly, evenly matched, and strike at the exact same moment, all 24 men fall down dead together. There is no victor, there is no resolution, there's literally just a pile of bodies. Because of this horrific, simultaneous slaughter, that specific spot in Gibeon was forever renamed. It became known as Helk Hazurim, which translates to the field of the sharp knives, or the field of daggers. This shocking event was the ultimate point of no return. It completely shattered any chance of a peaceful resolution. Seeing their champions mutually destroyed like that, the two armies just lose it and immediately clash. The text tells us that the battle that day was very fierce, and ultimately, Abner and his men are beaten back and defeated by David's men. What started as a proxy battle has now sparked a massive, full-blown civil war. Part 4. The Fall of Asahel. A tragic pursuit. The conflict now shifts from the macro level of clashing armies down to a deeply personal micro level. We are formally introduced to three crucial brothers fighting on David's side: Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. They are the sons of Zeruiah. Zeruiah actually happens to be David's sister, which makes these three formidable warriors David's nephews. Now, Joab is the supreme commander, but right now, the spotlight is completely on the youngest brother, Asahel. The text gives us a vivid physical description of him. He was as fleet-footed as a wild gazelle. Using this incredible speed, Asahel locks his eyes on the retreating enemy commander, Abner, and begins chasing him relentlessly. He's hyper-focused, turning neither to the right nor to the left. Abner looks behind him, realizes exactly who is chasing him, and tries to stop the impending disaster. He asks, "Is it thou, Asahel?" Asahel says yes. Abner repeatedly warns the young man to stop pursuing him. He tells him to turn aside, go grab one of the regular soldiers, and take his armor as a trophy instead. But Asahel totally refuses. Abner pleads with him a second time, saying, "Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother?" You see, Abner is an older, battle-hardened veteran. He knows for a fact he can defeat Asahel, but he desperately doesn't want to kill him, knowing it will spark an unending, vicious blood feud with Asahel's powerful brother, Joab. Tragically, Asahel's brave determination turns into fatal stubbornness. He simply refuses to turn aside. Because Asahel is right on his heels, Abner doesn't even have time to turn around to face him. Instead, Abner thrusts backward with his weapon. He strikes Asahel in the stomach area with the hinder end, the blunt, heavy butt, of his spear. The force of Abner's backward strike, combined with Asahel's extreme forward momentum, is so great that the blunt end of the spear goes right through him and comes entirely out through his back. Asahel falls down and dies instantly on the spot. The text notes a haunting detail here. Every single soldier who comes up to the place where Asahel fell down stops dead in their tracks. They are just frozen by the shock of seeing this great young warrior slain.
But Joab and Abishai, they do not stop. Fueled by the death of their brother, they relentlessly pursue Abner. Finally, as the sun goes down, they reach the hill of Ammah. The surviving Benjaminites rally and form a single defensive band around Abner on top of the hill. From this high ground, Abner finally calls out to Joab for a truce. He shouts, "Shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end?" Abner is pleading to end this endless devouring of the sword. He's finally recognizing the absolute futility of the civil war that he himself helped start. Joab admits that if Abner hadn't spoken up, the pursuit would have lasted all the way until morning. Joab finally blows the trumpet, signaling his men to halt the pursuit and officially end the battle. And it's here that we see the devastating, tangible cost of Abner's deadly little game at the pool. The casualty report is staggeringly one-sided. Abner's forces lost 360 men that day. In sharp contrast, when Joab takes a census of David's servants, only 19 men are missing, plus Asahel. It is a massive, crushing military defeat for the house of Saul. But honestly, the loss of Asahel makes it a deeply bitter, painful victory for David's men. The chapter closes with 2 long, physically exhausting marches in the aftermath of the battle. Both sides march through the dead of night. Abner and his surviving men retreat, marching through the Araba plain all night, crossing the Jordan River, and limping back to their capital in Mahanaim. Meanwhile, Joab and his men take up the body of their fallen brother Asahel. They carry him to Bethlehem and tragically bury him in the tomb of his father. After that deeply emotional burial, Joab and his men march the rest of the night, finally arriving back at David's stronghold in Hebron just as day breaks. The sheer physical exhaustion of these marches perfectly mirrors the heavy, emotional toll of the day's events.
Part 5. Lessons and Recap. Wisdom from History.
The beauty of studying these ancient texts step by step is that human nature rarely changes, right? The missteps of these ancient commanders offer profound wisdom for us today. First, we learn the absolute value of seeking guidance before making major life moves. Just as David paused to ask God for direction rather than rushing in to seize power, we too should seek wisdom before acting impulsively. Second, we see how pride and arrogant games, like Abner's deadly contest at the pool, lead only to unnecessary destruction. Playing games with people's lives or well-being always backfires. Finally, we witness the real danger of stubbornness. Asahel was fast, he was brave, but his absolute refusal to turn aside or listen to warnings proved fatal. Sometimes knowing when to pivot or when to let go of a pursuit is literally the most life-saving skill you can have. Let's do a really quick recap of what we covered in Chapter 2. The power vacuum after Saul's death results in David following God's instruction to move to Hebron, where he's crowned king by the tribe of Judah. In response to that, General Abner props up Saul's son, Ish-bosheth, as a rival king in Mahanaim. The tension breaks when their armies meet at Gibeon, where Abner's suggestion of a proxy fight escalates into a full-scale civil war. David's forces overwhelmingly win the battle, but the victory is marred when the swift young warrior Asahel refuses to abandon his pursuit and is tragically killed by Abner, setting up a really bitter blood feud. As the sun rises on a divided nation, we're left wondering, will unity ever be restored to this fractured kingdom? Or is the devouring sword here to stay? Thank you for learning with us. If this helped you understand the chapter better, like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.